It was supposed to be an ordinary night. Instead, I found myself standing in the rain, holding a shivering child that wasn't mine, staring into the stormy eyes of the one man I swore I would never see again. Fate really has a twisted sense of humor. The boy couldn't have been older than 5. His tiny fists clutched at my jacket as though I was the last solid thing in the world. He didn't say much, only whispered, "Daddy?" like a broken prayer. My chest tightened. I wasn't anyone's father. But when I looked into his wide, tear-soaked eyes, I knew I couldn't just walk away. That was when the headlights sliced through the rain. A sleek black car pulled up, and out stepped the devil from my past. Nathaniel Hayes, my high school rival, my nemesis, the guy who made my teenage years a battlefield of cruel smirks and cutting remarks. Only now he wasn't just Nathaniel, the arrogant golden boy. He was older, sharper, the years etching shadows into his face, but his presence still commanded the space like he owned it. And when his gaze fell on the child in my arms, something flickered: panic, relief, desperation. "That's my son," he said, voice low, trembling like the thunder above us. I laughed, sharp and bitter, because of course he would show up now, in the middle of this absurd storm of fate, claiming fatherhood like it was just another trophy he could snatch out of my hands. "Your son," I spat the words. "Is this another one of your games, Nathaniel? Haven't you ruined enough lives?" The boy stirred, pressing his face into my chest. My arms tightened instinctively around him, protective. I wasn't sure who I was protecting him from, this stranger child's mysterious past, or the dangerous gravity of Nathaniel's return. Nathaniel took a step closer, rain dripping from his hair. His eyes, though, were raw, not mocking, not cold. For the first time in forever, he looked human. "Please. His name is Evan. He's mine." My breath caught. The sincerity in his voice shook something loose inside me, something I had buried years ago along with every unresolved feeling I'd ever had for this man. But no, I wasn't going to let him in that easily. "Funny," I snapped. "Last time I checked, you didn't give a damn about anyone but yourself. What kind of father shows up in the middle of the night and lets his kid wander into the street alone?" He flinched, and for a split second, I almost regretted it. Almost. The rain grew heavier, drumming against us as though the universe was forcing us closer. Nathaniel closed the gap, his hand brushing against mine as he tried to reach for the boy. The warmth of his skin jolted me like electricity, and I hated how my body remembered him, how my heart betrayed me with its uneven rhythm. Evan whimpered, clutching tighter to me, refusing to go to him. Nathaniel's jaw tightened, but his eyes softened. He looked at me, not the child. "Let me explain. Please." I should have said no. I should have walked away. But instead, I found myself nodding because deep down I needed answers, too. We ended up in my apartment, the boy asleep on my couch wrapped in a blanket that still smelled faintly of laundry detergent. I sat across from Nathaniel, every muscle in my body taut, my mind screaming with 100 questions I didn't want to ask. He looked around the place, then back at me. His smirk, the one that had haunted my youth, was nowhere to be found. Instead, there was only weariness etched deep into his face. "You have no idea how much I didn't want this to happen," he said quietly, running a hand through his wet hair. "But you were the one who found him. Of course it would be you. Don't make this about fate," I snapped, but my voice cracked. Nathaniel leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his eyes locked with mine, searching, desperate. "Do you remember that night after graduation? When we almost don't?" The word tore from me sharper than glass. I couldn't go there. Not now. But he didn't stop. His voice lowered, filled with something I couldn't name. "I never hated you, you know? Not really. I think maybe that's why I tried so hard to destroy you. Because you made me feel something I wasn't ready for. And now I can't hide it anymore." Silence swallowed us. My heartbeat was a thunderclap in my ears. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. I had spent years convincing myself that Nathaniel was nothing but a bitter chapter in my life, a scar I didn't want to touch. And yet, here he was, with a child between us like a fragile bridge we couldn't ignore. And worse, here I was, still wanting him despite everything. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to throw him out, slam the door, and pretend none of this ever happened. But Evan shifted on the couch, murmuring softly in his sleep, and I knew the choice wasn't mine anymore. The boy bound us together in a way I couldn't unravel, no matter how much I wanted to. Nathaniel leaned back, his shoulders sagging as though the weight of the world rested there. I didn't even know I had a son until a year ago, he admitted. His mother. She never told me. When she passed, custody came to me. I'm still figuring it out, but I swear to you, I'm trying. I searched his face, waiting for the arrogance, the smirk, the Nathaniel Hayes I remembered. But all I saw was a man stripped bare, vulnerable in a way that made my chest ache. Why should I believe you? I asked, my voice little more than a whisper. Because you still know me, he said, steady, certain. Better than anyone ever did. That was the worst part. Because he was right. Beneath the rivalry, beneath the years of bitterness, there had always been something else. Something I couldn't name back then, something I'd been too afraid to face. I stood, pacing the small living room. So what now? You expect me to just hand him over? Walk away like none of this happened? Nathaniel's gaze followed me, unflinching. No, I expect you to help me. The words froze me mid-step. Help you? You were always better than me at holding things together, he said, his voice softening. Evan trusts you already. He needs stability. And maybe, his throat worked as he swallowed hard. Maybe I need you too. The admission hit me like a punch. I wanted to deny it, to throw his plea back at him. But the truth was, part of me longed to believe it. I sank onto the armchair, exhaustion weighing me down. You have no idea what you're asking. I do. Nathaniel's voice broke. And I'm begging anyway. The rawness in his tone undid me. For the first time, I saw not the rival, not the golden boy, but a man terrified of failing the one person who mattered most to him. And maybe, just maybe, terrified of losing me, too. Evan stirred again, whimpering softly. I crossed the room and knelt by the couch, brushing damp hair from his forehead. His tiny hand reached out instinctively, curling around my fingers. Something inside me cracked wide open. When I looked back at Nathaniel, he was watching us with an expression I couldn't decipher, half longing, half regret. Our eyes met, and for a moment the years between us collapsed. You've changed, I murmured. So have you, he said. But some things haven't. The unspoken words hung heavy in the air. The way we once circled each other like enemies when all we wanted was closeness. The almost confession that summer night after graduation. The years of silence, pretending it never happened. And now here we were, fate forcing us to face it all with a child caught in the middle. I should have pushed him away. Instead, I whispered, "Stay, just for tonight." The relief in his eyes was almost unbearable. He nodded, settling into the chair across from me. Neither of us slept much. The storm outside raged, but in that fragile space between us, something began to mend. Days turned into weeks. Nathaniel and Evan became part of my world, whether I wanted them to or not. I watched Nathaniel stumble through fatherhood-burning pancakes, fumbling with shoelaces, learning bedtime stories by heart. And I hated how much I loved watching him try, how much it softened the sharp edges of the man I thought I knew. One evening, after Evan had fallen asleep with his stuffed bear tucked under his chin, Nathaniel lingered in the kitchen, his hands braced against the counter. "You know," he said quietly, "I spent years convincing myself you hated me, that it was better that way. But the truth is, I never stopped thinking about you." I froze, my glass halfway to the sink. "Nathaniel." He turned, eyes burning with the same fire I remembered. Only now it was stripped of cruelty. It was raw, honest. "I don't want to fight anymore. Not with you. Not when I finally know what I want." The air between us hummed, charged with everything we had buried. I should have run. Instead, I stepped closer. "Nate," I whispered, the nickname slipping out before I could stop it. His breath caught. He reached out, tentative, his fingers brushing mine. And just like that rainy night, the touch sent a jolt through me. But this time I didn't pull away. Our lips met, hesitant at first, then fierce, years of pent-up longing crashing through. It wasn't rivalry anymore. It wasn't hate. It was everything we had been too afraid to admit. When we finally broke apart, his forehead rested against mine, his voice ragged. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you." "Maybe not," I said, my hand cupping his cheek. "But Evan does. And maybe that's enough." He smiled, a real smile, unguarded, almost boyish. It undid me more than anything else ever could. Months later, the three of us stood in the park on a sunlit afternoon. Evan ran ahead, laughter ringing out like bells as he chased pigeons across the grass. Nathaniel stood beside me, his hand brushing against mine, not quite holding it, but close enough. I glanced at him, at the man who had once been my worst enemy, and now somehow had become my anchor. He caught my gaze, his lips curving into a smile that was meant only for me. Life had twisted in ways I never expected, throwing storms and second chances in my path. But standing there, watching the child who bound us together, I realized something simple and terrifying. Maybe fate wasn't cruel after all. Maybe it had just been waiting for us to be ready. And for the first time in years, I let myself believe in happiness. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.